Hi, I'm Kristen Brunius, and this is the Overcomers Podcast. I am so excited for you to hear the stories of incredible people overcoming trials and turning them into triumphs. From everyday moms and dads to entrepreneurs to community leaders and beyond, you'll see how everyone has a story of overcoming, and those stories are what connect us all. Let's hop right in. Hey everybody, welcome back to Overcomers, Stories of Trials and Triumphs. I'm really excited for you to listen to this next episode. So I decided to pivot a little bit and I invited Jordan Peterson on. He is the Executive Vice President of Solle Naturals, the company I've been with for 12 years. But before you run away, because you're like, Kristen, I'm not really into the whole network marketing world, I think Jordan brings a lot of great information that you can apply whether you are interested in Solle Naturals, whether you're interested in your own business, the business world, the network marketing world, or any of that. So I would love for you to hear from him. He has become a dear friend of our family, someone Dave loves to hang out with and fish with, and his kids are awesome, and my kids think he's hilarious, and I hope that you enjoy this time with Jordan. And whether this is for you, whether Solle Naturals is for you or not, I think that you could glean a few things from this episode. And today is actually a big day, so I'm recording this on Monday, February 24th, and so this is a big day in my world because we just launched a new product called Solle Complete Protein Plus. And so I wanted to take a minute and tell you about it. And I actually wanted to tell you guys that I just put together a new URL for you to go check out. I've been really digging deep trying to figure out what would be a great place for anyone to start if you guys are just like brand new to the holistic world and you wanted something that you could just start right off the bat with that might be something you're already doing. And so if you check it out, it's at thecompletepackage.shop. Okay, let me repeat that again. Thecompletepackage.shop. I couldn't get .com. It was like $5,000. So we're doing .shop. And what I put there is 3 products that I feel like if I could go back to 2017 and just start with the basics and just kind of tiptoe my way, and then I'm looking for something, I'm just looking to feel better. And I'm not ready to quite go into all of the, Chinese medicine and all the herbs and stuff like that. Maybe this is just a starting point for you. And I also tried to pick a price point that I felt like was doable for most people. And so there's 3 products in there. One is the complete protein. And the reason I put that in there is because it has such a wide array of benefits. It has all your vitamins and minerals and nutrients. It's also a meal replacement. It has your protein in there. It has your prebiotics, your probiotics. It has some digestive enzymes. It helps with the GLP-1, like the fullness factor if you're trying to lose weight. It has some MCT oil in there for brain health. And so it's just really jam-packed with tons of nutrition. And then I put cinnamate in there because most of us already start the day with something hot, some sort of coffee or tea or latte or something like that. And so that's a really easy thing for you guys to add into your routine. And so I put the cinnamate in there for 7 years now, guys. I love coffee. You'll actually hear me joke with Jordan on the call, don't take my coffee away. I have for the most part switched to decaf just because I don't love the feeling of that like spike and crash that coffee, like caffeinated coffee gives you, but I just love the taste of it. And so for 7 years now, I have just put my packet of cinnamate in my coffee. And since it's cinnamon and it's delicious, it tastes delicious. It's like almost like a Mexican coffee with like the cinnamon in it. Lots of people also like cinnamate just on its own, maybe with some cream. It tastes more like a chai tea. And other people like it cold as well. So I threw that in there as an option. And then the third product I put in there is Vertizymes. This is my husband Dave's favorite product. It is for digestion, but it also is just amazing for sleep. And so How I would recommend this product is you start your day with the cinnamate, whether it's, hot or in your coffee or in whatever you're drinking or plain, and then you drink the complete some point through your day. I actually have mine right here. This is my breakfast. And so you would drink the Soul Complete however you would drink your typical protein, and then you would end your day with a couple of digestive enzymes in light of the vertizymes. And I just feel like sometimes we get overwhelmed with how to start. And so that's why I put this package together. It is at thecompletepackage.shop. So go check that out. And that's my little ad for the day. All right. Well, let's go ahead and dive into my conversation with Jordan Peterson, the Executive Vice President of Soul Naturals. And I hope that you can see why I fell in love with the heart of soul and the people and the products so many years ago, and why I am excited to spend hopefully many, many, many years, multiple decades with them. And I hope that you can feel that they truly care about people at a deep level. And it's so much more than just products. It's all about the people too. So let's hop right in. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Overcomer. So glad that you're here. As you guys know, last week was our first video episode. So thank you, thank you, thank you for being willing to learn with me as I learn more about video. And we're doing this thing. So this week I have Jordan Peterson with me. Jordan is the Executive Vice President of Soul Naturals. If you guys know me at all, you know I've been with Soul for a long time. I think it's about 7.5 years. And so really enjoyed my time there. And Jordan, glad to have you on.
Thank you.
Um, Jordan is really become a family friend and a mentor and, someone that just makes me smile every time I talk to him. So I'm excited for you guys to get to know him too and get to know a little bit more of um, the background of Soul Naturals and why I like it so much. So I'll throw it to you, Jordan. Tell us a little bit about you.
Thank you, Kristen. It is so good to be on with you today. I'm excited to be on this podcast. Um, so to back up just a little bit, I'm over here in Utah. Been here for most of my life and love the mountains and all that they provide, from fishing to hiking to camping to all the outdoor stuff. And me and my family really enjoy doing that. It feels like to stay in Utah, you have to have at least 5 kids. We want to make sure we could stay forever, so we had 6. Um, for anybody that has kids, you recognize once you start having kids, like life is just crazy. And what we
Hmm.
found was, like, whether you have 1 kid or 2 kids or 3 kids or 4, like, crazy can only fit into like a certain amount of time in your day. And it's all of it. So all 24 hours a day is crazy. And whether you have 2 or 3 kids or 6, it's just crazy. And so we decided to get them all here pretty quick. So we had 6 kids in 9 years. So my oldest will be 17 shortly.
That's
My
nuts.
youngest is coming up on 8. And then we have kids in between. So I have 3 girls, 3 boys. And it's just been a rodeo. It's been a ton of fun just trying to figure out how to be a dad and do all that fun stuff. And so we're well into the teenage years of
Mhm.
sorting through all that fun stuff. And as you well know, Kristen, that's it's day to day, hour to hour sometimes, but somehow we're surviving. And so my wife stays home to take care of everybody, including me, and she's a true hero through all of this. Somehow we all survive. But yeah, it's been good. It's been really good. And so yeah, I've been here at Soul now for 13 years. And as you mentioned, Kristen, you and I met. God, I think we met online or via Zoom or something. I remember seeing you
I
like
remember.
first time we met. Yeah.
Yeah, it was what's your youngest son,
Quinn. Uh-huh.
Quinn. I remember when I got on Zoom with you, you were introduced and they said, "Yeah, he just had his sixth baby 2 days ago, so he might be a little tired." And I was like, "Who is this person that had
Yeah,
6 children?" And so literally Quinn was like 2 days old when I went into Seoul. So that's kind of how I always remember how old your youngest is.
there you go. Yeah, and
Yeah,
he's 7.5 right now. His birthday's in September. So yeah,
yeah,
that's kind of the time frame there.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, and then like you said, we kind of hit it off in the beginning, and we've been kind of working together since then, trying to figure out this crazy world and how to build a business together and make everything work. And it's been a great ride.
yeah. It's been a lot of fun. So take us back to before Soul, because we'll get into what makes Soul so special. So,
Yeah.
did you start your career in the network marketing world, in the corporate world, or did you do other things before that?
That's a great question. So I actually started it as a distributor for a company. I had a buddy that came and talked to me about the opportunity, and at that time I was newly married, just figuring out school, and it sounded really interesting. And the idea to be able to work with him was fun. The irony, looking back on it, it's really funny to me because we really had no idea what we were doing. In fact, I remember even talking to people about the products that we were selling. And I had no idea how it even worked, right? It was in the utility space, and so you could sign up to sell with your cell phone or your home phone or your internet. And I had no idea why we had access to it. I'm not sure how it even worked, but I was just like, yeah, like, it's great. You got to pay these bills anyway. Might as well do it, and I can earn a commission off of it. And so that's kind of my foray into that. But very shortly after that, I was talking to a mentor in my local church congregation here, and he was like, "Hey, you speak Russian from your church mission. That's one of the biggest markets at the company I'm at, and we really don't have any Russian speakers in the finance department. Would you be interested?" And I was like, "Man, I just started college. I don't really know a ton about that stuff. Like, what would it entail?" And he's like, "Well, we can teach you a little bit about what you do." He's like, "Do you know anything about like credits and debits and accounting?" And in my ignorance, I thought to myself, like credit card, debit card. I'm like, yeah, that's easy. Like, heck yeah, I can do that. That's easy. And so I went in and interviewed and got the job. And then I started to go to college to learn what I was doing and why I was doing it at work and kind of putting all those things together. And talking with a lot of different people there, they were like, you know what, you need to understand like accounting and finance is the language of business. So you really need to get a firm grasp on that. And I thought, well, great, and plus they were paying for my tuition for me at that time. And so I'm like, I might as well get my degree in the thing I'm doing and learn from that. And so I started doing that. And then in very short order, um, I'm tall, I'm about 6'5".
Mm.
And so they were talking about playing basketball back in the day at this company and how the sales team would always beat the finance team. And I was like, well, I could see how that happened back in the day, but like now, I was 22 years old and I was in shape. I played a lot of basketball. I'm like, I don't, and these guys were all older than me, 20 plus years older than me. I'm like, I don't think that's how this is gonna play out now. And so the CEO loved to come by and kind of take jabs and kind of tease a little bit. We became really good friends. And so he tasked me with finding like a local church or somewhere we could play in the mornings. And so we started playing basketball in the mornings. There'd be 10 of us, and it was like the CEO, the CFO, the president of US sales, the director of marketing, the corporate controller, the tax director, like all these high level guys in this company. And then me, who had just started working there. And so I got to know him really well. And the irony behind all that was, and the fortuitous nature of that is we were a publicly traded company. They went through a hostile takeover, which is when shareholders, the board of directors, they come in and want to make changes. So they ended up firing that CEO after I'd been there for about 5 years,
Mm.
firing the president of US sales, firing the corporate controller who I was working for, and just making a lot of different changes, had some layoffs and different things. So I started looking at it. I'm like, man, I'm done with my degree now. What's next on the horizon? It doesn't look like this place is going to be the one for me. And I remember the president of US Sales called me the day when he got let go and said, "Hey, is it okay if I still come and play basketball with you guys?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, it's just a bunch of buddies. Yeah, we all work together, but it's not a work like sanctioned thing. It's just a bunch of buddies before work." And so he came and started working with us or came to play basketball with us that next day. And I said, "What's your plan?" And he's like, "I think I'm going to start my own company." And I'm like, "Wow, that sounds really interesting. Like, let me know what's going on." I'm 27 years old at that time. And and I didn't know any better anyway, really. And so, well, we started going to lunch pretty much once a week, twice a week at times, just brainstorming on different ideas. And due to the relationships we had with some of the people at the company we were at, they came to us and were like, "Hey, if you're interested in starting your own company or doing something, we'd love to be a part of it. So how can we fund this and like buy in on this?" And so he had a non-compete for a year, so we couldn't do anything for that year. So during that time, I left and went to a different company as well to learn some more about, the different opportunities that are out there. And we kept going to lunch and talking about our ideas and kind of formulated a plan and some different ideas with products and things. And then once we came upon the adaptogenic herbs and kind of the
Mhm.
power behind them and saw this huge hole in the market. It seemed like everybody back then was very symptomatic based. You had a cold, you take zinc or vitamin C. You had something else, you do something else. And then you take a combination of all these different capsules and different things to get the benefits you were looking for. And we're like, man, nobody likes to take 20 different capsules a day. What if we used our expertise and mostly his expertise? Because again, I was mostly finance and the business side of things. Well, let's see what we can come up with. And so we came up with some formulas. We tried them on his wife. She was our guinea pig, if you will.
Mhm.
She had struggled with some postpartum issues, and so we wanted to make sure we could help her. And so um, we came up with the products, and we had again a lot of backing from a lot of friends from the industry that wanted to be distributors and sell for us. And so we were able to launch 13 years ago, and it's been a ride since. And when they talk about bootstrapping something, meaning you just kind of compile your own resources to make it work. I would absolutely say that's how it's gone. We didn't like seek outside funding like most companies would do. We didn't buy any big downlines or anything. And so it's been kind of that slow, steady growth, super loyal, good friends. It's always been hard for me to differentiate between like business relationships and personal relationships because to me it's all personal and I
Yeah.
just like people and spending time with them. And so it's been great. And really, my job since then has been almost as like a consultant working with individual business owners and saying, where are you and where do you want to be and how do we bridge that gap and what are things you want to do and accomplish and are those realistic and what changes do we need to make it happen. And so just been kind of doing that for the last 13 years.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many things that I could add in there. First of all, I have to say that I didn't know that story of you guys playing basketball, and I think that's super fun. And just for anyone who's out there listening, if you're in your 20s and you have an opportunity to surround yourself with people like that, even if you're in your 30s or your 40s or your whatever,
Yeah,
I think that that was just super cool that you had the opportunity to learn from those various mentors and you had the wisdom to know that the relationships that you create now, you don't know where they're going to go and
yeah,
what's going to happen with them all those years later. And then
absolutely.
I was thinking, and you kind of brushed over Donna's story. So that was one of the things that for me, I could go into so many different ways that I fell into Soul Naturals, but one of the things that for me I was struggling with when I went to look into Soul was I was already as a network marketer and wasn't that I was unhappy with my business that I was doing, the network marketing company I was in. It was just that I was looking for something deeper.
Yeah,
And so when I stumbled across Soul and realized that they checked a lot of the boxes of some of the nutritional things that I was looking at, but it also went into the mental health end. And then I felt like I was killing two birds with one stone. And
absolutely.
then what I really appreciated about Soul was the personalization. So I remember finding Soul on a Thursday and then watching all kinds of videos and looking up what are these products and doing a little bit of behind the scenes research and then getting in contact with the company on Monday and being like, wow, these people are real. These people truly care. And over the years, what I have noticed with Soul is that even as we've grown, right, that level of care, we call it the Soul family, that
Yeah,
level of care of, as much as possible. Obviously, like as we grow, it gets harder and harder, but you guys knew my kids' names. You knew my husband's names. I mean, you and my husband have gone fishing together and
yeah,
I've talked to your wife and like we truly do care for each other. So I think that that is such an awesome, awesome thing and I love how you said that you had a hard time, you know, um, separating friendship from business because I feel the same way. So
Yeah, I love that. And that's the thing that's really changed. It feels like I was having a conversation with another business owner about 2 weeks ago. And as things move more towards like AI and like
Hmm.
customer support, online stuff, like non-personal help, that's the one thing that really kind of differentiates the network marketing space is that for the most part, if you have somebody that is known to you and you help bring into the business a customer of yours or whatever, the customer support they're going to get from you is so much better than what they'd get from just going direct to any company, really. And so, and again, especially as we see things move towards AI or offshore customer support or whatever else. I mean, the fact that a lot of your customers, I'm sure, will just text you and say, "Hey, I got a quick question. Can you help me with this? Can you jump on a call with me? Can you help me with this?" Name another company that you can do that in, right?
Right.
And so that's really, I think, what's separating us from other companies at this time is that personal touch, as you've mentioned. And that's kind of what makes it fun for me is being able to work with real life individuals with real life struggles and concerns and aspirations and just figuring out how we get from here to there and
Right.
kind of using whatever we can from our products, the business opportunity, whatever else we have to get there and truly that holistic approach of like let's cover everything. Let's make sure everything in our life becomes just a little bit better. And if we can just make it a little bit better, then imagine the circle of influence you have to help everybody else. You know, they say that high tide raises all boats.
Yep.
Um, and that's what we're seeing in this business and all around us.
Yeah, and that's why, there's always like these waves of like, a few companies might change or they restructure or they go out of business and you'll hear people who are like, yeah, that's the end of network marketing. I'm like, no, I don't think it's the end of network marketing. Because the cool thing about network marketing is that you have, like you said, you have this person who you already trust and you already know who can connect you to great products. And
Yep.
what I have found over the years is some of the best products that you can buy are from network marketing companies because they're not having to, put it on a shelf in Target or they're
Yeah.
not having to pay for this huge sales force or this room in different stores and things like that. And it's direct to
Mhm.
consumer, but you have somebody in between that you trust that can kind of be like your travel agent. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I
And
think
even
it's
more
cool.
so, it's the people that you can reach that trust you
Right.
already, right? There's such a huge difference between, watching a commercial for a restaurant or a movie and hearing your friend come over and be like, "Hey, have you seen this movie yet? It was awesome. I love it. You've got to see that." And you're like, "Well, I know you like the same things as me." That recommendation means way more than me seeing a billboard or hearing it on the radio or another commercial. Same with restaurants, food, like all that stuff. And so that word of mouth marketing, I mean, we're seeing it getting easier through social media. There's no
Hmm.
question. But man, there's still so much power in that personal touch of just, chatting about it. And that's the thing I love about what we have is there's really physical and emotional and mental and social changes that take place in an individual once we kind of get them going and putting them in a good spot again. And the adaptogenic herbs that I talked about before, they help you to adapt to the situations you're in and all those different stresses we may be dealing with. And so being able to raise your own level of health in holistically all of it, right? Mental, physical, social, emotional. Um, you'll have, and I'm sure you've had, maybe you can share with us, like people who have noticed a change in you, and then they're like, what is going on? You look fantastic. You act so much happier. Like, what has changed, right?
Yeah. 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 And that has been my story. And that's what I tell people is like, it's been 7.5 years now, and I am still finding areas within Kristen that can level up.
Sure.
Like I'm trying to think, how old am I now? How old was I when I started Soul? It was like 34 something, 33,
Sure.
34, 35. I mean, I had a
I'll
bunch.
never divulge a woman's age. So whatever you say, we're good
Hey,
with. 29, whatever it was.
I am 41, so I think I was 34 when I started. But when I originally came to Seoul, it was truly, I was struggling so bad with anxiety. Like I remember I used to talk to people on the phone and trying to explain to them, even my husband, like what it feels like as someone who struggles with anxiety. And it literally felt like somebody was like standing on my chest, where
Mhm.
like there's no real, most of the time there wasn't really like a reason. Like I would look around and I had three little kids at home and they were kids, but they were wonderful. And we would be driving to the park and I felt like I couldn't breathe. And as someone who struggled with anxiety so bad, what I would find over time was I would work myself up so much and then I would just be exhausted,
Yeah.
just have no energy. And now I know like the science behind it and all of that, but
Yeah.
that was that was the world I was living in. And so when I came to Soul, I was like, there's gotta be some sort of solution. I've tried all the different things, and I don't want to name all the things, but I mean, I tried the pharmaceuticals. I had tried the, you're laughing at me. I hadn't tried anything like illegal.
Hey, self-medicating happens too. I get it.
No, I just didn't want to list other companies.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. So I had tried all the other things and I was like, there's got to be something that would work. And it was like that fine balance of like anything that gave energy. I felt like as someone who struggles with anxiety, it would increase anxiety. So like you've
Yeah,
got your coffee and your pre-workouts and your energy drinks, but so I would be awake, but then I would be more anxious. But then
yeah,
anything that kind of calmed me down would then make me more tired. And
yeah,
so it was like, I felt like every day I had to choose between like tired mom or anxious mom. Which one do you want today? Like,
yeah,
what color popsicle do you want, kids?
yeah,
And as I worked through that, then it became other things that I could then work through. I started working on some deeper stuff, like some cortisol stuff and some thyroid stuff. And now that I'm in the lovely 40s, you start thinking about words like perimenopause and menopause and
hmm,
aging gracefully and all of those things. And so that's what I love about Soul is like it has grown with me. And I'm excited to see where it could take me, but it's not just surface. It's so much deeper than that. And I love the mental health thing. So we kind of talked for a minute about Donna, who is so the president of Soul's name is Greg and his wife Donna. It was after their youngest child. Yeah, after the birth of their youngest child, she really started to struggle with some postpartum stuff. And this was right around the time that Jordan was talking about. And so he started to formulate some stuff and, different herbs and different capsules and different things, trying to find something that could help her. And ultimately, what came out of that is one of our products called Adaptable. So you want to
yeah,
talk a little bit about that process and deciding that product and some of the other founding ones?
yeah, for sure. So, I love the name adaptable, by the way, because that's
Mhm.
exactly what this product helps you do. It pays tribute to the adaptogenic herbs in it by using the word adapt, right? But then adaptable, making you able to do things, right? And being able to adapt to things. Um, when we were at that other company, it was an interesting company because it was very wide ranging. So they had, well over 600 products. And so being aware of like all these different herbs that were out there and the conversations that were had with individuals, it was kind of known that there's these Chinese herbs out there that were really effective for kind of the things that people were struggling with anxiety and some of these things you were mentioning. And we wanted to make it possible to be adaptable, to be able to overcome and be able to continue to move forward with your life, even when you're struggling with those things for whatever
Mhm.
reason they were caused, right? Whether external stresses, work, family, friends, whatever may be coming down on you, or internal, whether those are hormone changes or chemical imbalances or whatever it might be. And so with Donna kind of struggling through this period of time, and knowing kind of the different herbal combinations that were out there, um, I don't want to say it was like a chemistry lab, like it's not like Breaking Bad where we're in a trailer somewhere like mixing different things together. But we just take some of these different adaptogenic herbs, ashwagandha, jagalon, rhodiola, some of these others, and we put them together and say, how does that make you feel, Donna? Like, is that a good metric for you of like where you're at? Does it make it easier, harder? Like, where are we at with it? And so, I mean, when I say she was our guinea pig, I mean very much so. Like we would try different things and try this and see how it feels. And we finally got to a spot where, and there's a great video talking about this on YouTube, on our Soul Naturals channel, talking about Donna's story where she talks about it herself. But we just got to a point where she was able to be like, I don't need those pharmaceuticals anymore. And I feel like I can just handle this naturally now through the nutrition of these adaptogenic herbs. And that's when we were like, okay, now we really got something, right? And so not only did we use it in a capsule form, but we came out with drinks as well at the same time. Our Soul Vital, we like to say, what you eat's important, but what you drink is vital. And
Hmm.
and we use some of those same adaptogenic herbs. um, the capsule fatigue happens. People get tired of taking capsules, but everybody needs to drink water, right? If we can get people drinking enough water and sleeping well, it seems like most of our problems can kind of handle themselves. And so coming out with a couple drinks, kind of find where it's gone. I just don't know if it's working. And so we'd say, well, great, then go off of it. I don't think it's working. Go off of it and see how you feel. And they'd go off of it, and then within a couple days, they'd be like, oh my gosh, I forgot what I used to feel like because I'm here now. And that's the thing. I mean, it's not like a magic pill where you take it and like all of a sudden you see everything through rosy colored glasses. But and especially since for most of us, I mean, it took us our whole lives to get to where we're at today.
Hmm.
Thinking that we can just take something and overnight have it flip on its head just isn't really realistic. But man, you give your body the nutrition it needs, and we're so resilient, and our desire to be healthy and strong is so strong within us. And so, yeah, we start giving our body the nutrients it needs, and magically enough, right, our body starts to take care of itself and puts us in a position where we are adaptable. We can now move forward. We can help others do the same thing, become that best version of ourselves. And that's really kind of the cool thing that we see with Soul.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And the first time that I heard you guys say that, what you were referring to about, well, just stop taking it. And I was like, what are you saying? But it made so much sense to me. And it's the confidence of, and the willingness to put that risk out there to say, yeah, go ahead and stop taking it and see how you feel. And I have done that so many times over the years with different customers who have come along where they're like, yeah, Kristen, I don't really know if it's working. And I'll say, okay, well, don't take it for a week and let me know how you feel. And 9 times out of 10, they come back and they're like, okay, yep, this was a for real thing. I really was feeling better.
Yeah.
So, let's pivot a little bit and let's talk. So, with the podcast being called Overcomers, I
Yeah.
like, kind of in a roundabout way, this podcast was inspired by all of the stories that I get to hear on a daily basis of people. I often tell people that my inbox, it's a privilege to have my inbox filled with the stories that people are willing to tell me.
Yeah.
Where they will say, "Hey, Kristen, I'm really struggling. I'm really anxious, or I'm really struggling with X, Y, and Z. Do you have anything that can help me?" And so that's a privilege. But what is a bigger joy and privilege is watching people come out on the other side. And
Mhm.
so when I was thinking about coming up with this podcast, I mean, I made it much broader than soul, right? I talked about overcomers in general, but it was very much inspired by a lot of the super cool stories that I get to hear within soul. So let's talk about some of the overcomers that you know. So, what comes to mind when you think of people over the last 13 years who have had pretty cool stories in the soul family?
It's a great question. Um, and to be honest, you're one of them. You're a total victory story in my book and an example of an overcomer. And I know you've shared that with a lot of people. And so I think that's a great way to do this podcast and kind of you're leading by example, which I think is awesome. It's been fun. There's a lot. When we were talking about doing this podcast, I've kind of gone through my like memory bank, I lay there at night going, man, how many have we seen and what does that look like? The interesting thing I find is some are like it's such a personal thing for people
Mm,
that some can have like something where it wouldn't be on a newscast, it wouldn't be broadcast all over the world, but for them, like it was a really big deal. So, for instance, I remember when we started talking to individuals and they started trying our Soul Vital. And Soul Vital, It's a green drink, a very green drink. And so it has a lot of chlorophyll in it. And chlorophyll is known for detoxing and kind of putting ourselves in a position just to be healthy, right? Chlorophyll is like the blood of a plant. Like, and if you think what blood does is filters and clarifies and cleans and all that stuff. It kind of works similar to that in our own bodies and helps to alkalize us. Well, we had an individual who started it. He kind of came a little bit reluctantly because um, it was one of those things where his niece was a part of Soul, and she's like, "Dude, this will be so good for you. You've lived a rough life," and he had. I mean, he liked the party scene, and he liked to smoke and drink and do all those things, but he recognized it wasn't good for him, and he was probably mid 40s at this time. And so it was wearing on him. You could see it. You could see it in his face. And so he started taking Soul Vital and just drinking it every now and again. And he called me one day and he's like, Jordan, he's like, I'm kind of mad at you. And I'm like, all right, what's going on, bud? And he's like, I enjoy my weekends and I enjoy spending time with my buddies at the bar. And I only smoke when I drink, but I only drink when I'm awake. And it's kind of what I do. And I'm like, I get it. And he's like, whatever you put in this green drink, like, I don't even like the taste of it anymore. Like, I don't like the alcohol taste. I don't like the smoking. Like, I, here's my problem. I enjoy this sort of stuff. So like, you can't, I don't know if I can stay on this if you're doing this. And I'm like, listen, I get it. But what kind of life do you want to live, man? Like, is there something else? Could you guys take up golf? Could you like spend time fishing? Like, what do you want to do besides that? And he's like, yeah, but I do all those things when I'm doing that too. Um, so it was kind of a fun thing to see. Now, I don't know where that story ended. Like I lost contact with him later on, but that type of mentality, that type of story where people just start to do the little things. Nobody out there thinks that drinking excess alcohol or smoking a lot is good for
Mm.
them. And we can justify that in whatever we want to, but being able just to give somebody a little bit more freedom from that, from some of those addictions, has been an awesome thing to see. Um, which ties into my next story. Very early on, we had a gal that we brought into Soul. Her grandma had been a part of these types of things for a long time, ran her own herb shop, and so through kind of mutual contacts, we were able to get a hold of her. And she was like, "Listen, I never had a job before. I barely graduated high school. I got married in my teens. Um, I don't have a lot to kind of offer in that realm of everything, but I like this stuff and I want to be a part of it." And so she jumped on and just the change that overcame her. It was one of those ones where the advertising wasn't even in like talking about the products. It was just people seeing the way she lived.
Mm.
And they're like, I don't know what you're doing, but you are completely different than the person I used to know. Your level of crazy or whatever else is on a whole different spectrum now. And so I don't know what you're doing, but I want in. Like, let me be a part of this. And so she had some great results from that. And now, looking back over the past 13 years, this has been her career. I mean, she's been able to build a life out of this, raise her two girls, do all the things that she wanted to accomplish, and really grow from that. And so those are the type of things where I look at and go, wow, right? And then we call them soul babies as well. We have a lot of individuals talking how we have, given our body the nutrition that it needs. It's amazing how it just kind of regulates. And we've had a lot of people that have had struggles, getting pregnant or having the hormone balance that they needed to do
Hmm.
those sort of things. And so through using our products, we have, like I said, we call them soul babies, where individuals who've been trying for a long time are finally able to have the family that they want. And you think of the profound impact that has on individuals when they have a stress like wanting to have a family and not being able to, now having one. Of course, that introduces new stresses, as you and I know, with having kids. But and that's the thing, we talk about when you start a nutritional program like we have, there's kind of that question of like, do I have to do this forever? Like, I'd rather just kind of take something to be done, like fix myself and be done. But it seems like every day we have new stresses and new things going on, whether those are like immunity-based stresses, right? Like, oh, I've got a cold or I've got whatever, or I'm not sleeping well for whatever reason, or hormonal changes or chemical imbalances, or external stresses of job or family or whatever we have going on. we talk about this stuff of like it's more like a breakfast than it is like an additional thing to do. Like nobody wakes up in the morning and they're like, I'm gonna have breakfast today, but like, I really hope that at some point I don't have to keep having breakfast every day, right? Because I know that's what their body needs to like fuel it and to continue moving on. And that's what we look at with our products. Like they're just nutrition. They're just really well studied, well documented through thousands of years of all sorts of different Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine of now science is finally catching up to be like, oh, that's why, yeah, we understand why those things are so beneficial for you. And so just adding them into your life, how routinely or whatever you want to do. We all have routines. We wake up in the morning, we brush our teeth, we have whatever we have for breakfast, whatever we do, we work out, whatever it is. Just adding soul products into that routine has been just an amazing thing to see. And so those are a couple stories that really stand out to me. And there's thousands more like that are just really personal for people that talk about it. We have individual. I had one individual. A couple more stories. I could do this all
I
day.
like stories.
Yeah, we had one individual that just due to lifestyle choices again, had a really hard time like being consistent, being able to poop, right?
Mhm.
And I tease people all the time. I'm like, I'm willing to talk to you guys about anything you got going on and seeing if we can just help you. Um, as long as you don't send pictures. And so this was one of those things. He called me up and he's like, dude, I don't know what's going on, but and it was a guy, a fairly large individual, and he's like, man, I get bloated, I'm super constipated, super backed up. I don't feel good. Because if you think of what's happening when you're pooping, like you're detoxing yourself, you're getting rid of stuff your body doesn't want, right? That's called waste. If you're just
Mhm.
storing that, your body's like, what are we? Why is this still here? I thought we got rid of this. So it just really makes you sluggish, doesn't make you feel good. There's a lot of things that go on with it. And and he's like, man, I've really been struggling with this, but I started taking one of your products. We call it Amatox. And I now can poop every day. Like it's unbelievable. And you just think about that. Like some of the most uncomfortable feelings you can have is related to that. If you have gone certain amount of time without doing it, like it really is painful
Oh
and
yeah.
backs everything up and hurts, right? And so you see that. I had another guy that I was talking with. We'd come out with our Soul Maca, and he'd been struggling with intimacy with his wife. He was probably mid 50s, and he's like, man, I've been taking the little blue pill and trying to make all that work. And he's like, dude, I don't know what's in this stuff, but like I don't need it anymore. Like I'm in a spot now where it's like anytime, anywhere, like we can make it happen. And so, and that's the thing, like the general public may be like, well, who cares? Like that's
Mhm.
such a little piece of whatever. But the reality of it is when you change people's lives like that, and usually those little things like that, not being able to poop, not being able to take care of that intimacy things, like those are just manifestations of bigger issues that are usually going on, right? And so just being able to take care of those little things one by one. And then again, your body's like, okay, now that's fixed. Now what? Right? And due to the way we eat, the way we live, the air we breathe, like there's always something going on that we can work on for that what's next moment. And even after 13 years, I started this when I was in my late 20s. I'm now 40. Um, there's even in myself, right? I got a lot of gray in the beard now. Like your body just changes over time, and just being consistent with what we have going on here has been great. And so seeing those individuals kind of overcome whatever it may be, has been fantastic. And even to the point where you have some people with really serious things going on that we kind of give them a little bit extra time, if you will, where, it just gives them a little bit extra time with their families, or to take care of things they need to take care of. Older individuals that haven't had, energy or haven't been sleeping well for a really long time, all of a sudden have that being able to take place for them. To people who always had a dream of traveling and just being apart and seeing the world a little bit, and us doing that as a group as well. And then on top of that, you have the ones that just are a little bit isolated. And, I saw this especially during that pandemic we survived. Like the human element of just being able to connect and be a part of something that's bigger than yourself and being part of a mission of like helping others just be better. Like that alone, that mission of, waking up every day and being like, I'm a part of something. I have a group of individuals that like things that I like, that are trying things that I'm trying, that want to do better for themselves and their families, that want to help other people do better. Like that's such an uplifting thing as well. So really it kind of touches all those different things. So when we say holistic, a lot of people, it's funny, especially being in this world, right? A lot of people use the term holistic as like the same word as organic or
Hmm.
natural. Like, oh, these are holistic products. I'm like, nothing about that is holistic. Like it's symptom based. Like it does one thing. Like holistic is all of it. And
Hmm.
so and we take that seriously, like not just physically and mentally and emotionally, but like socially as well, financially as well. Like let's take care of all those different things and see if we can make them better for you. And if we can't, let's make some adjustments and see what we can do. Like we can get to the point where we can make it work for you in some form or function. And most people know that. Like we're living in a world today where like mental health, emotional health, natural products, like we're more aware, I think, now than ever of the gunk that people are putting in our food. And we're like, man, what dye are we putting? Why are we doing this? What chemical are we putting in there? Why? And so it just gives us a great opportunity to really try things that are natural, that are organic and holistic, and all those wonderful things that can put us in a great spot.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we don't even realize, at least for me, as kind of like a layman, I didn't even really know what some of the products were doing as they were doing
Sure.
it,
Yeah.
because I may have been taking, let's say, Cinemate because I was a tired mom, not realizing that it was working on my gut health and my blood sugar and my
Yep.
immune system and stuff like that. And as you were talking, I was thinking even just about the stories that I've heard. So I live right outside Chicago, right? So
Yep.
we're not known to be the most fun expressways to drive on. And a lot of people in our area work in the city of Chicago. They live out here, but then they commute back and forth. And I'm thinking of this one individual where she was just paralyzed. She just could not get herself to get back on the highway. And she felt very much like she was just like boxed in. Like I can't leave this little area and because I just won't get on a highway. And she would take all these side roads, but eventually you're going to hit a point where you got to get on a busy road. And
Yep.
I remember the texts that she got where she had taken adaptable and she was like, okay, I took some adaptable and I got on the highway and I did it. And
Yeah.
then, the next time I took some more adaptable, I got on the highway and I did it. And after a while, like it's not that it cured her. It's not that it took everything away, but it just took enough of the edge off that gave her the courage to do it, to get behind the wheel and drive. And it changed. It changed a lot of things for her. I'm
Love it.
even thinking of Dave. So Dave went through, he's a redhead. So he tends to be a little on the anger outburst side.
I always call it high strung. That's what we call it.
We'll call it high
A little high
strung.
strung. Yeah.
And he was also, so he was struggling with a little bit of that. And he was also struggling with some indigestion, acid reflux, especially at night when he would go to lay down. And it got to the point where like he had to like prop himself up, which like doesn't make anything great when you're not sleeping well, you're propped up, it's just uncomfortable, it's everything like that. And he tells everyone who will listen about Vertizymes. And he's like, I sleep better. I don't have this issue anymore. I'm actually sleeping soundly. It's not
Yeah.
burning. And um, in a weird way, while he was working on that, we started to notice some of his temper was going down because, like you were saying, our mind and our body are so closely connected that I was like, "Huh, Dave, what's going on here? You got
Yeah.
some interesting stuff happening." So, yeah, it is really, really cool. And I know from my family, it has been a great blessing, not just in terms of the different things that have helped me with my mental health, my family members' mental health, but even just the network marketing business in general. And
Hmm.
so obviously I'm speaking for all businesses, not just Soul Naturals, that this industry is just super, super cool. And I know for me, I had left teaching. I thought I was going to be a stay-at-home mom and it wasn't going to work. And then the recession happened. And I was like, I gotta figure something out. And my first daughter was born in 2009, another in 11. And by 11, we were really, really struggling. And so I found my way into the network marketing world. And I even remember, like, when I first signed up for Soul, when you and I would talk on the phone, we couldn't afford like an actual real carrier. And I would have to drive down the street, park on the corner, and then call you because we were just in such a really, really bad financial situation where I couldn't even make phone calls from my house. And so I don't want to discredit my husband is an amazing provider, and we worked in parallel to get us to where we are today. But
Yeah.
network marketing gave me the opportunity as a mom to be home and to be present and to do all of the things, but also to earn an income and to build a business. And now I'm at the point where my kids are teenagers. And
Yeah.
so, and I still have it and it's still here and it's going to continue to be there for me. So it's a great option, uh,
Love it.
for a lot of reasons. So
That's what it's all about.
yeah, yeah. So I wanted to ask you a couple questions before we left.
Please.
First of all, we talked a lot about like the holistic and like natural and things like that. And so a lot of times people get kind of confused. They're like, Kristen, when I go to this big box store or this, corner drugstore and I walk down the vitamin aisle, I see A, B, C, D, zinc, magnesium, whatever. How do I know I'm getting what I need with Soul? Why do I not have to take this entire alphabet of vitamins and minerals? So you want to speak to that a little bit, kind of like the difference between the two.
Absolutely. The question I would always follow up when people ask me that is like, why are you wanting to take a supplement to begin with?
Mhm.
And usually there's something going on in their lives that is doing that, right? Or they'll just be like, well, I don't even know. I just want to take something that I don't know, like I've always been told, take a daily vitamin, right? Start out with Flintstone vitamins and now I'm older, so I take something else, right? And so there's some general need or desire there, whether to like keep the level of health they have or to improve their health. As we know, with most things out there, they kind of come in two ways. Either they're chemically made
Hmm.
or they're like an extract from something. And it's funny to me a little bit. If you look at most daily vitamins, you'll look on the back of it and it will tell you how much of a percentage of the daily needed amount you're getting in some of those vitamins. And you'll look and it will say something like vitamin C, and you get 2,500% of your needed daily amount, and vitamin B, and you get this percentage. And usually they're just really outrageous percentages because they're synthetic. Um, the thing I find with what we have and the way we look at it with Soul is with everything we do a whole plant extract. We kind of leave the chemistry and the making of the plant up to God and let him
Hmm.
we kind of figure out he kind of knows how to do it better than me. And so then we'll just take it and say, whatever you've already made, great. We're just gonna now put that into an easy to take capsule or drink. So they may say, well, how do I know if I'm getting enough? And we kind of go back to what we've talked about. Well, if you don't think you are, just stop taking it and see how your life changes with that. And there are some needs. There are those that have issues that are beyond or need like an additional something that maybe Soul doesn't have. And we see it, especially if you have thyroid issues or some different
Hmm.
things. Maybe there's some medication or different things that you may need to take, especially when organs or things just don't work anymore at all. Your pancreas, right? Like I don't have a plant that can help with insulin, right? But we have cinnamon and different things that can help with blood sugar regulation. So we don't say we have the answer for every little thing and you can cure everything just naturally. But finding out why they want to take them to begin with is always a good start. And then realizing as well for us, everything we get, we're really careful about to make sure what we're giving you is what it should be. And so you use the example, you're walking down the supermarket aisle and you see like a whole shelf of all these different vitamins and minerals and herbs and whatever else. And let's say you pick up a capsule or a bottle and it says, let's say apple on it. And you're like, well, they always say, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. I think I'm gonna start taking these capsules and see what it does. And in your mind, may be saying, well, the reason I want to take apple is because it has apples have vitamins and minerals in them. Like it's healthy for you. It's a fruit. Like it's good for you. The tricky thing we find though is that in taking a capsule like that, they can put whatever part of an apple they would like in there
Mhm.
and still call it 100% apple. And what I mean by that, they could take a piece of the leaf, they could take bark, they could take a root, they could take the peel of an apple, the seed of an apple, the apple fruit, the stem, whatever they want, dry it out, grind it up, stick it in a capsule and say, this is 100% apple. So you may be, and that's why asking an individual, like, what's your expectation with wanting to take those is important because they may be saying to themselves, well, I want it for more vitamins. And then come to find out they're using the bark of an apple tree. And so that doesn't have what you're looking for in it. So, um, man, we are so sensitive to that because to your point, like we really put our name out there and we put our reputation out there and we really put our guarantee out there. If you're going to like it and you're going to get results, and if you don't, then we'll give you your money back because I don't want you taking something that you don't think is working for you anyway. So every product that we get, every raw ingredient that we get, we test for purity and potency. So purity is that there's nothing in it that shouldn't be in there. No molds, no dirt or dust or fillers or anything else like that. And then the potency piece of it is let's make sure that the amount of active materials in there, the vitamins, minerals, whatever we're looking for, are in an amount that you'll be able to know the difference. And science has done tons of tests on it of how many, milligrams of something is needed in order to feed your body or to notice a difference. And so we're just really careful about that because as you know, anybody who's eaten like fruit that's not ripe or overripe, like, yeah, it's still a banana. Bananas are the trickiest to me because bananas are like, they're only good for like 6 minutes out of their life cycle before they're like too old, or you know what I mean? You buy them green at the supermarket, you bring them home, they slowly get ripe, and then all of a sudden they're ripe, and now they're overripe within like that 6 minute window, and now they're banana bread bananas, right? And all fruits and vegetables kind of go through, and herbs kind of go through that same life cycle of like there's a time when it's like prime time to pick and harvest. And anybody, I love to garden. It's like my therapy. Anybody who's had like a garden ripened tomato, like it's a different fruit than like a store-bought tomato.
Hmm.
Like to the point where I don't even think they can even call it the same thing. Like they need to come up with a new name for it. If you pick a tomato green and sell it at the supermarket and it turns red sitting there, like that's not the same thing as like a garden ripened tomato. Like it's so much better, so much more flavor, there's just so much more in it, right? And so with everything that we use, with all our herbs and the things we use, like we want to make sure that they're picked at the peak when we need them. And some have different actives at different stages of their life cycle. So some we need to pick early so we get those active. Some, when they're perfectly ripe, some older. And through testing, we do third party testing. So we can't be biased in the results because we get these ingredients in, we have them tested. They say, this is what's in it, and these are the amounts that are in it. And we say, great. And those are what we need. And so we use them and then we process it and make sure that comes out what we want to come out in the manufacturing process. And so really that's what I would say. Like, what are you really looking for, when you're wanting to take things? And let's see if we can find that because we have enough products now that we can probably find and get you the result you're looking for. And on top of that, results you're not even thinking you need.
Yes.
When my wife first started taking Soul Vital, she had a wart that was on her foot that dried up and fell off. Now, neither of us were thinking that warts were going to fall off when we took Soul Vital. And so then you start looking back and you're like, well, why did that happen? You're like, well, I guess, detoxing, alkalizing the body, like doing all these different healthy things for it. I guess it would make sense that, a wart that's based off of whatever can't live in that healthy environment. So it dried up and fell off. And so then, she's standing at swim lessons talking to other women, be like, no, you would not believe it. Like my husband, he had this drink and I tried it and my wart fell off. And oh, interesting. Tell me more. How do I get some? Right.
Right.
And so that's really what I would say is like, what are you looking for? What do you have going on? And most people you have to ask that question like more than once. You'd be like, well, why do you want to take it? Oh, because I want to be healthy. Healthy? Like,
But
what
what
does
does
that
that
mean?
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
well, actually it's, I don't sleep at night or whatever, right? So you kind of have to ask those questions usually a couple times for people to open up to you. And if they trust you, and if you are kind of a person that can get people open up, like most people want to share, and everybody has something going on. Like I haven't met the perfect healthy person yet, where they go, you know what, everything is optimal. I sleep the exact amount of time I want to sleep. I have everything going on right. I don't feel off at all. I'm great. I never get sick. Like everybody has something going on. And so that's why I believe that soul has something for everybody.
Yeah, and here's the thing is like a lot of times when you ask people, well, why are you taking that? They'll say, oh, because my doctor said so.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but let's get to the bottom of what did you tell your doctor? What are you trying to accomplish? How do you want to feel? How do you want to stay feeling? Like if you're, 23 years old, I kind of thought I was invincible at 23,
Uh-huh.
and had I known what I know now, I would have done this stuff way back then so I could stay feeling that way longer.
Yeah.
And so, and I loved what you said about, God put that stuff in there and he probably knew what he was doing. So
Hmm.
it's the same. The comparison that I like to say to people is I like to say you could go get a vitamin C supplement at Walgreens or whatever, and that's fine. I mean, I'd rather you do that than nothing. That will step in the right direction.
Yeah.
But you're going to get a lot more if you eat an orange or, a yuzu fruit, which is not on the market, but some of those sources of vitamin C, you're going to get a lot more than just that singular vitamin C because that singular
Yeah.
vitamin C is just a process.
Yep.
It's a process, and they put it in a capsule and then you take it. But when you're getting it in its natural form, you're getting so much more to it than what you would from a capsule. So I love
Yep.
that. One more question before, actually, two more questions before we close.
Perfect.
Um, Protein. So today is a big day. I've been talking nonstop on social media about protein, protein, protein. We just today launched a new protein, and I got to be honest, at first I was like, I don't know, like it's protein, whatever. And then the more I learned about it, the more I got excited about it because it's not just protein. So, first of all, why protein right now, and why did you guys add the things that you added to the protein to make it more than just protein?
Yeah, great question. Um, for those who know a little bit about, proteins, amino acids, all those are like the building blocks of life, really. And it puts you in a position to be able to everything from heal from some of the injuries or things you have going on to grow muscle to also those who are on diets or trying to manage their own health. Protein is great at helping you feel full. Like it just really takes the edge off of things. For me, I love meat. I'm a huge meat eater. To me, it's not a meal if it doesn't have protein, right? And
Hmm.
so um, I just really enjoy that. But then, I find myself even who enjoys meat and dairy and all the things, which I'm grateful that, as you mentioned, Dave mentioned about Vertizymes. I'm grateful we have enzymes and probiotics and things that allow me to eat basically whatever I want. I find most days I don't get enough protein. Like they say you should have like a gram of protein per pound of weight that you are or that you want to be. And I'll go through my day and be like, man, I had, two eggs for breakfast. I had a ham sandwich for lunch and I had spaghetti for dinner. I'm like, man, I had 40 grams of protein all day. And, I should have 200 grams of protein. Like I'm way short on that. And so then you're like, well, what sources of protein are out there? Um, you could eat a lot of, cottage cheese, uh, milks, meat, eggs, whatever you want. But even then it can be tricky because you have to cook a lot of those things. So then we're like, well, how do we make it easy? And what are options out there? As a company, we decided to stay in the natural plant-based
Hmm.
arena. We find that they're super bioavailable, so most people can digest them easily and then get the benefit they're looking for. It doesn't just pass through them. And so once you eliminate kind of whey protein from that arena, then you look at what other options there are out there. And the two are most popular are soy and pea protein, a split pea protein. And soy is just really problematic for a lot of people. It has a lot of effects on hormones. And the irony behind that is there's a lot of the things we eat we don't know, but they put soy in it anyway, and it's just
Hmm.
it's just not great for us. So we're getting plenty of soy even without eating like a soy protein drink. So we wanted to stay away from soy, so that kind of left us with the pea protein. And Pea protein is interesting. It can be a little bit gritty, and it can be a little bit has like a natural bitter flavor to it a little bit. And so when you look at those and we say, well, we're not going to put artificial flavors in there or artificial anything to hide those, and we stay away from sugar. So how do we balance this out? And so the big thing for us was we got to make sure that this is more than just a protein, because everything we have here at Soul is more than just a product. Like we love the synergistic qualities that different products have when they come together. And so we started looking at different things, and having prebiotics which help feed the gut along with the protein has been big for us. Having antioxidants as found in like yerba mate has been big for us. Having a pick me up. A lot of people like to take like a pre-workout and then a
Mhm.
protein. And we're like, well, what if we add just some natural occurring caffeine in the yerba mate? So we add the yerba mate, it naturally gives you that kind of lift, that build, that stamina that you need in order to continue to move forward through your day. Man, that was big. And then we're like, hydration is such a key thing. Let's make sure we also have salts in there as well. So we have some natural salt, and you're like, well, Jordan, salt is natural anyway. Yeah, but you'd be amazed at what they can kind of do with it. And so we kind of keep to that non-GMO, natural, nobody's monkeyed with it, salt that gives you the minerals and the benefits of that as well. And man, it's been really fun to see how people are using this and how natural it comes up in conversation. For instance, I was at a basketball game on Saturday for my daughter. She was playing on another girls' team, and I was sitting by the girl's parent, and he was sitting next to his, I don't know, she's probably 5-year-old daughter. And I like to wake up Saturday mornings and make my kids breakfast. And so she was sitting next to me. She was this just chatty little 5-year-old girl. And she's like, well, what'd you do today? And I'm like, well, I woke up and made my kids breakfast. And she's like, oh, my dad makes me breakfast every day. I'm like, well, what does he make you? He makes my shake. I'm like, oh, like an ice cream shake? Like, what do you like in it? She's like, no. She's like, we put some protein in it, and we put some vegetables in it, and then we put some ice in it, and then we blend it up, and that's my breakfast. And I said, that's every day. And she's like, yeah, every day. So then I turned to her dad. I'm like, what do you do with your protein? Like, how does that work? And he's like, oh, we found this protein we like on Amazon. It's this vegetarian protein. And I said, oh, is it soy or is it pea? And he's like, I don't even know. So he pulls up his phone, looks on Amazon. He's like, oh, it's actually pea protein. I'm like, oh, about 20 grams per serving, 18, 20 grams per serving. He's like, yeah, actually. I'm like, that's awesome. Like we actually have some new flavors that we just came out with that have a little bit more than protein, and it's kind of a cool deal. And he's like, tell me more. Right. So it led to like a really natural conversation. What we find is a lot of people, protein's a thing where a lot of people are interested in it right now and wanting to have that be a part of their day. They recognize that, like I did, I just don't eat enough naturally throughout my day. So starting with, a 20-gram protein shake right off the day, right off the bat. I even like to double it sometimes to get 40 grams right off the bat. It just naturally feeds everything and gets me going. Even my daughter, who recently had eye surgery she had a tear in her retina, the doctor, when she was done, was like, hey, listen, to help with healing, like make sure you're having enough protein so your body can repair that. And
Oh.
so she's been drinking as well. So that's the thing. Like it's such a natural thing to come up with people. Anybody who goes to the gym seems to love to drink a protein drink of some
Mhm.
sort, or protein shake. And so it's just a natural, easy thing to talk about with people. And then finding like the clean version of protein. A lot of people with dairy protein, whey protein, they get bloating. It feels a little uncomfortable for them because they're drinking so much of it. We don't have to worry about that piece of it. And then we also worry about the caloric intake. Some people are like, well, I do it so I don't eat a meal so I can keep my calories down so I can lose some weight. Well, great. I mean, we're just over 100 calories with our per serving of our current proteins. And so then you're like, well, flavors, what do we got going on there? You mentioned that pea protein can be a little bit bitter. Absolutely can. And so we have a vanilla creme, like creme brulee that we like to use, like that salted caramel flavor. We have a double Dutch cocoa flavor, chocolate flavor that we love as well. It has a little bit of a salty thing to it as well, which I find really enjoyable. And then the key thing for us too is the MCT oil from coconut. Helps to smooth it out a little bit, gets rid of that grit that some people are familiar with. And then there's usually an aftertaste that comes with protein powders as well. It helps kind of level that out as well. And so we're seeing huge benefits from this. And like you said, we launched it today for the general public. We
Mhm.
let those that have been using it and selling it have kind of a sneak preview over the past week. But man, it's just a fun thing to see, and it's so needed. I mean,
I've been
those that are
drinking it the
hungry,
whole time we've been on here,
there you go.
actually.
You're rock and rolling with it right now, right? And I'm gonna go
Yeah,
have for lunch
and
here in just a minute.
yeah. And I love how it's so relevant to the market now because I feel like protein is so much in the conversation and most
Yeah,
people are at the point where they're like, I know soy's not great for me. They kind of tend to fall into the whey protein because they don't know what to do or what not to do. I was actually having a conversation with a guy and he's like, "Yeah, the one I buy makes me so bloated." I was like, "Yeah, it's because it's whey protein." And so people are kind of catching on to that, and I feel like it's so relevant. And then you brought in the whole GLP-1 conversation, which I mean, that's everywhere. And
yeah,
just, talking about ways that we can help our body to do that, but not do it in a way where it's so forceful, I guess
yeah,
is the way to say
yeah.
it.
And and
Um,
and and talk about those GLP-1s for a second. Like, what are GLP-1s? What does that look like? Why
right.
why do we want them?
Well, you don't put me on the spot. That's all the sciencey stuff. That's what you
Yeah.
guys are good at.
Right. Well, the long answer or short answer to the long question, I guess, is it just helps us to feel full, right? It's
Right.
appetite suppression. And so if you think like, man, I really would like to lose some weight, or I'd like to not continue to gain weight, I'd like to just stay stable where I'm at. GLP-1s are naturally found in a lot of things that we eat, and yerba
Hmm.
mate is actually very high in them. And so as we get our GLP-1 levels to where we want, it actually helps with appetite suppression. And so then you're not just constantly chewing down stuff all day long and not getting the benefits you're looking for. And that's something I struggle with, to be honest with you. I'm the guy who like the more I work out, the hungrier I am. And I'm like, this
Hmm.
is so lame because now I just want to eat all the time. And with our cinnamate drink with the cinnamon in it to help to stabilize blood sugar, and then you add in the yerba mate with what we have now with our Soul Complete. Um, man, I don't find that to be an issue anymore. I can drink a shake at lunch and not even be worried about food until I go home and eat dinner. And mostly it's because I have a fantastic wife that stays home. And so when I come home, I can smell it. And I'm like, oh, and then that's when I start getting hungry. And so, yeah, there's so many benefits of it. It's just unreal.
Yeah, and that's what I found. So I'm only a couple days into drinking the new complete, but um, I just remember in the past talking with people about protein shakes and they would call them, meal replacements. And I'd be like, just not really, never really filled me up. I never really felt
Yeah.
satisfied afterwards. And the other night I decided to try this complete protein for dinner. And I was like, I feel satisfied. And now here we are, it's 1 o'clock. I'm getting ready for lunch, but this is actually what I had for breakfast, and I've stayed steady the whole time. I mean, I've been up for however since 6 o'clock, and it's now 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so it has kept me steady. But yeah, I think it's a great option for people. So I'm
I
really
love it.
excited about that.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked me that question. That's good.
Yeah. All right, last question.
Let's hear it.
So somebody is new to all of this. They're new to holistic. They're like thinking to themselves, I know everything they've said sounds great. I want to try to make some improvements in my life, but I just don't quite know where to get started. What would you say to them?
That's a great question.
Putting
The
you on the
beautiful
spot.
thing behind what we have here at Soul, um, we wanted to make it easy for the general public. Like we don't want to have a degree in anything to be able to know how to make this work. And so what I would recommend, we have what we call the 3-day reset. It's basically a trial box that lets you try really all of our most popular drinks. We have 4 category leading drinks from our lift, balance, clarify, and calm categories that we put in there. 3 days worth, so 3 packets of each that you can try. And then we also include our Soul Royal, which is a collagen helper. Hair, skin, nails, gets everything going there, and it's just great. Has some protein in it as well that people love. And then we also now include a sample of the Soul Complete Double Dutch Cocoa and the Soul Complete Vanilla Creme as well. So it gives you a good idea of kind of where you're at, which ones you like, kind of pay attention to your body, how it feels while you're on them. And man, we're just seeing really good results from that. And then you may be saying to yourself, like, holy cow, that's a lot. Like, I don't drink that much. I don't like drinking. I don't want to do all that stuff. I totally get it. There are times though where you can kind of do that hard reset. It's kind of like when anybody who's ever worked before, you have an issue with a computer or a printer, and you call the customer support desk for your devices, and the very first thing they say is, "Hey, have you tried restarting it?"
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, like 99.9% of the time that fixes it. And it always makes me mad because I'm like, I know that, and I don't know why I don't try it before I call, but that's just how it works. And I think our bodies can do that at times as well. If we can kind of load them up with a lot of really good things in a short amount of time, it kind of like our bodies go, whoa, okay. Oh, okay. All right. I'm in a good spot again. And that's what we're seeing with this. So those who have been on products for a long time, they'll do it and they'll do all the products I mentioned in a 3-day period. And then they go, oh man, I forgot how good that feels. And those who haven't tried it before, I say do the same thing. Like let's see if we can take all of these drinks in one day, one of each, and just see how it goes for those 3-day period. And pay attention to how you feel. You can write it. You can do everything from writing it down to texting the person who shared it with you, however you want to do it, and you're going to see some great things happen because of it.
Yeah, and I love the price point of that too. It's only 34.95, which I think is great. And I think
Yeah.
if you didn't start there, the protein would be another great starting point too.
Yeah, and the
Same.
thing I love about this is new for us. Our My partner who runs our manufacturing for us, we've been doing some upgrades and some new things, and so we now can make our own sample like satchel packs of it. And so, in fact, right now, if you order anything from Soul Naturals, you can throw in one of each flavor in those sample packs for only $5. We'll throw it in any of your order. And so it's just, yeah, try it, see how it goes, pay attention. And most of the time, it's not even something, it's not like an add-on for a lot of people. It's like a replacement. Like you're
Right.
already spending the money doing something else. You're already spending money on coffee. Let's switch it out, give you something healthier and do Cinnamate. You're already spending your money on your green drinks. Let's switch it out and do Avant Greens or Soul Vital. You're already struggling with whatever. Let's see if we can just replace and make it easy. You're already on a probiotic. Give us a shot and just see if it works for you. And we're
Don't take
confident.
my coffee, Jordan.
Hey, you want to keep it, you keep it. That's a
I'm
whole
kidding.
other conversation
I'm
for another
kidding.
day.
I'm kidding.
But yeah, no, there's so many ways to do it without having like an additional cost, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just swapping out and adding to what you're already doing. Like we're not telling you to change everything, but let's see if we can add a little bit more value and make a change in your life somehow and see how we can go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Jordan Peterson, thank you very much.
KB, it's good to see you, my friend.